Hello everyone, my name is Julie Plummer. Today I want to explore a completely new topic for me, Adobe Forms. And I'm delighted to be able to welcome two specialists on this topic, Peter Barker and Sandra Timmer. So hello Peter and hello Sandra, please introduce yourselves.
My name is Peter Barker. I've been working on Adobe Forms for over 10 years. Since I'm the product manager, I'm responsible for the strategy, positioning and roadmap, and I work closely with development and talk to customers and partners day in and day out.
My name is Sandra Timmer. Until now I've been the product manager for SAP Business Client. It's familiar to most customers as NWBC. It's the only SAP client that combines native SAP GUI for Windows transactions and web applications in a single shell. Recently, I've been supporting Peter with the Adobe Forms topic because there's a lot of additional work, such as helping customers to migrate to the new cloud platform.
What have you been working on recently?
Moving to the cloud is the most important topic for SAP, and more customers are migrating to our cloud solution, SAP Forms Service by Adobe.
One hot topic that has been discussed in the SAP community in recent months is the local deployment option for Adobe Document Services, or ADS, on-premise. Peter, you covered this at the DSAG Technology Conference. What can you tell us about the local deployment option?
SAP has confirmed the positioning again. In the meantime, we've published a blog about it and made the official slides available. Internally, we are hard at work on the solution. Of course, it's important to distinguish between internal developments and official announcements. As soon as there's any news that can be made available to customers and partners, we'll publish it.
Could you please explain why SAP decided to use Hana XSA?
Just a word about terminology. Hana XSA or XSA is not a product name. XSA is an unofficial abbreviation for the very long-winded name SAP HANA Extended Application Services Advanced Model. We are talking about a platform for developing and executing native HANA applications for on-premise. We chose XSA because this platform has the best feature parity with SAP NetWeaver as Java. Developing on XSA is very similar to developing on BTP Cloud Foundry and offers a variety of runtimes, for example for Java applications. That makes it easier to port services and applications and makes it possible to run the ADS. A lot of S/4HANA customers are already using an XSA system, but often they are not aware of all you can do with it. Some of our listeners may be familiar with the SAP HANA cockpit for administering SAP HANA databases. This cockpit also runs on XSA.
Could you say something about the ADS in the cloud as part of BTP, aka SAP Forms Service by Adobe? For example, about the licensing model.
The first thing to say is that the licensing model is completely different from on-premise. It helps to bear in mind the following. Will what I'm doing create a load on the ADS? If so, then it's probably going to cost something. That's why we don't distinguish between the type of system, development, test, and production, and why we don't treat print forms and interactive forms differently. S/4HANA customers get 2 million form requests per year free of charge, private and public cloud. Other customers must buy form requests in packages. You can find details about this on the SAP Discovery Center.
Is there a source of information that customers should always monitor to obtain the latest news? For example, SAP Notes, SAP Community, or something similar?
The standard documentation is a good source of information and is always up to date. The FAQs in the documentation are a real treasure trove. For example, lots of customers ask how many data centers SAP supports. You can find the answer in the FAQs. You can find slides in the SAP community, along with other documents that customers often ask about. Development documents a lot in the form of SAP notes. That's a good place to look when things get technical.
What role do data centers play?
We want to reduce vendor lock-in by supporting several hyperscalers in each location, as for example AWS, Azure and Google. There are also regulations that require that a service is available in a specific region. This is made possible by means of data centers around the globe. Currently, SAP Forms Service by Adobe on Cloud Foundry runs in the following data centers: Australia, Brazil, Canada, Europe, Japan, Singapore, and US East. You can find updates on the Discovery Center.
There are always rumours about SAPscript and SmartForms. What are the facts of the matter?
SAPscript and SmartForms will be supported until 2040 because S/4HANA is also supported until 2040.
What does SAP recommend with respect to forms technologies?
SAP Forms Service by Adobe is SAP's recommendation. Customers who are planning a new forms project or who intend to overhaul an existing forms landscape should move to SAP Forms Service by Adobe on Cloud Foundry. Customers who want to keep using their old SAPscript or SmartForms without changing anything can continue to use them. Of course, there will only be bug fixing for legacy solutions. New functionality only comes with Adobe Forms.
What is the significance of the block size?
Customers buy blocks of requests, that is credits, that are then consumed when a PDF is generated or a digital signature or a print preview is created.
What does the future of Adobe Forms look like?
We recommend SAP Forms Service by Adobe on BTP, and there is no successor solution, just reviewed one more rumor. We always have a roadmap in our standard slides. It contains the functions that are planned for the current year and for the future. The roadmap is full. We are going to support data centers on Azure and to simplify the accessibility of various functions via a unified landing page. Later, we want to support Google Cloud Platform.
Another rumor is that the Lifecycle Designer is no longer supported. What are the facts here?
Customers use the Lifecycle Designer to create templates for forms. SAP customers can download the designer free of charge from the SAP support portal. The Lifecycle Designer should not be confused with Adobe's own Lifecycle Designer. Adobe's designer costs money. Our customers who use SAP Forms Service by Adobe or SAP Interactive Forms by Adobe only need SAP's version. There is a note about this, number 21873332. When it comes to the maintenance strategy of the designer, there's also a note, number 2763928. There's no end of life for the Lifecycle Designer. It just keeps on going.
What's the current status of interactive forms? What are the facts here?
Online interactive forms only run in Internet Explorer. That's why we've been telling customers for years either to make sure their interactive forms are offline or create new apps using Fiori.
How do you personally see the future of forms at SAP?
Print forms will always be strategic. If you can't print, then you can pack your bags and go home. Interactive forms are becoming less and less important because they're being replaced by apps. It will be fascinating to see how forms can profit from artificial intelligence.
SAP recommends the cloud and the services that we provide with BTP. Customers who do not want to move to the cloud can use alternatives like SAP Hana Extended Application Services Advanced Model, XSA for short. But the future is in the cloud.
What do you recommend to those new to Adobe Forms? And what do you recommend to Forms developers who want to stay up to date?
We recommend you read the documentation, including the FAQs. There are also a lot of useful blogs. Don't forget all the notes. Some are more strategic, some quite specific. One additional option is to read books by external authors, although you should make sure that it is up to date.
Will you be attending upcoming events so that we can meet you face to face?
It's hard to say precisely which colleagues will be attending which events, but there will always be ABAP colleagues you can talk to at upcoming events such as DESAG.